This is a funny one. So I wasn't certain if I had actually manipulated my professor. I shouldn't use the term exploited, especially when gendering people. Now, there's a lot of. I'm in a weird state, but I think I'm on the rounding the bend and getting over the involuntary psychosis from the involuntary marijuana exposure. It's day number 3. That's a very interesting process itself, which maybe I'll talk about. Maybe I won't. But there is some stuff that's noteworthy. I just don't think that sharing my notes to the riffraff, the peasantry, will yield the best results. I mean, it's like trying to educate someone with Down syndrome and then expecting them to, you know, build a rocket. Good luck. Anyway, the professor gave me another high grade. I got a 76 out of 80, or something like that. I got docked like 4 points. On our most recent, you know, essay assignment, and that's funny because I intentionally put mistakes in there to see whether I was right or whether I was wrong. And if she was, because when I first started this course, she gave me a warning. She said, "Okay, you know, you did good, but you didn't follow the American Psychological Association, the APA formatting standards. So I'm just warning you that I'm going to grade you really hard on your fucking, you know." And sure enough, when I got a 44.5 out of 80 on a really good essay, it's because I had spelled out the word "and" instead of putting an ampersand. I accidentally put a period where I should have put a comma and stuff like that. And didn't capitalize the word Christian twice. And didn't block quote. 44.5 points out of 80. I got docked 25.5 points. So, after complimenting her, which was a fake compliment, no, yeah, I didn't think of that. See, my analysis of her was because she's so woke and liberal, that she's got a huge schema, a huge psychological, you know, conflict about feminism. Women making it in a man's world, brassy, sassy, professor. Bleh. And so, with this whole, you know, psychological issue that she has, that she's taking out on the male students especially, unless they're black, because, you know, intersectionality. For me to compliment her, that was a manipulation to see if that would affect her grading, because she's grading out of emotion, not logic and objectivity, not logically, and without bias, because she's a woman. Women are emotional, of course. Gender differences are not merely a social construct, biological. So, sure enough, the second grades that I got were like 96 out of 100 or 98 out of 100. And that was weird. So I decided to do a test, like a litmus test, right? So I specifically didn't format my assignment correctly on 2 major points. One is that I put italics, and I have the APA manual here. I have the hard copy. So it says when you do put in a word that most people don't know the definition of, you put it in italics and then define it. You have to put the definition. I didn't put the definition multiple times. This was a test to see if she noticed it or not. I mean, she noticed the ampersand, she noticed the comma instead of the period instead of the comma, etc. She missed those things. In those assignments, well, this specific essay, we had to watch 2 body camera footages, and the first one was white police, right? Liberty University, like all academia, is being very subversive, so they're showing white police beating black, you know, victims, or as I like to call them, criminals who deserve it. And so the guy had jaywalked. The officers asked him not to jaywalk. He did it again like 4 times. It was sort of a famous case in Asheville in 2017. And the guy literally ran from the cops, laughing at them like, "Ha ha ha, I'm laughing, you get me." And so they got him. They caught him. And that's when he started resisting, to the point where he even grabbed the officer's taser to take it from him. And the officer then just started punching him in the head. His head swelled up with bruises and everything. And we were supposed to discuss that. So my discussion, I said, well, clearly the guy deserved it. Like, he provoked this himself. And I'm just going to read her feedback. In body camera footage 1, a law enforcement officer uses excessive force during an arrest. See, I don't think that was excessive force. They put a trigger warning at the beginning of the footage that said, this footage is very graphic. I was laughing watching the black guy get beat up by the white police because he clearly deserved it. He provoked them. He was antagonistic. His demeanor was very aggressive, and his body language. He was flexing on him. He raised his voice. He was shouting at them angrily, etc. This case will be analyzed under the Fourth Amendment's objective reasonableness standard. Objective reasonableness, right? The suspect's Fourth Amendment rights are being violated. The officer's actions demonstrate his mindset. Oh, but the perpetrator, the suspect's actions don't demonstrate his mindset? Like, whether it be his personal feelings regarding the severity of the offense, humanity, or perhaps it's indicative of stress. The suspect did not pose a threat to the public. Clearly he did. Instead, if he had just employed the discretionary tactics used by the officer in body camera footage 2, the suspect would have just walked away with a warning. The second incident demonstrates the proper use of officer discretion. And that's, right, so the officer, he was able to just de-escalate the situation through conversation rather than coercion. And so the second body camera footage was a black cop who talked down a black criminal who had a knife and was trying to commit suicide by cop. The black criminal with the knife did not act aggressively the same way the jaywalker did. The black criminal with the knife didn't provoke it the way the jaywalker did. He didn't reach for the officer's tasers, etc. These are completely different situations, but they very specifically selected those two clips to where the bad situation was the white cop beating the black criminal who deserved it and bought it on himself, not just by resisting arrest, but going for the officer's taser and being violent and aggressive. The second one was black cop, save the day, hero cop saves the black guy who's suicidal with words. And therefore, literally no officer should ever use guns, and they should just use words. And instead of shooting criminals, they should use compassion. This has been employed in the United Kingdom, and there are some really hilarious videos. Hilarious because I don't live there, where officers cannot stop one man because they don't have firearms. The United Kingdom recently had its own version of Killdozer, where a man in a large truck went on a vehicular rampage. And the officers were so polite and ineffective because they didn't have a firearm. The one guy climbed up on the passenger side door and started saying, hello, sir, stop the car. And he was like beating the window with his nightstick, or whatever the bobbies, whatever they have, the little wooden stick. That didn't stop this vehicle. I think it ran over like 20 vehicles. It was a huge vehicle. It almost killed a few people. It definitely injured at least a few. There was a family getting out of their car that was hit by this guy. And then I saw another guy where it's like one African doctor, right, one immigrant has a knife, and there's 11 police officers, and they can't stop him because none of them want to get stabbed. Like, none of them have a knife, none of them have a gun, so they're like, ah! Like the guy's running towards them, and they're running away. 11 cops can't stop one guy with a knife because they don't have a gun. Did you try compassion? So this sort of idiotic woman mentality of emotions, not logic, it means that's why likely she missed, my deliberate mistakes to see if she, noticed them or not, is because she was so emotionally distraught by the fact that there are black criminals who deserve to get the shit pounded out of them. That's it. They deserve it. Not all blacks do, not all whites do, etc. But there are. It's just like women, right? There are women who deserve to get hit. And for those of you who say I'm sexist, yeah, why do lesbians have the highest domestic abuse rates? What an insane time to be alive. It's fucking nuts.